I used to be one of those guys who complained about being cold on the job all the time. And what I didn't realize is it was my fault. Welcome, friends. I'm Carl Murawski. Let's keep you warm on the job site. Most guys are cold on the job site because of three things: sweat, bad fabrics, and wind. Those three things are gonna take away your warmth quicker than anything else. And actually, what I'm wearing today is a perfect example of what I thought I needed to wear to keep warm and what kept me cold for that long. There's a term in the outdoorsman community which is cotton kills. And the reason that they say that is because cotton, for all of its wonderful properties, is kind of a poor insulator, especially when it gets wet. And now if you were to look at cotton and to see what it does under a microscope, more or less what happens is as you sweat, the little spots that keep warm air trapped against your body fill in with moisture. And it actually starts pulling warmth away from your skin. So a lot of people who spend time outdoors, hiking or camping or whatever, they avoid cotton like the plague. And this is also why your feet are probably turning into ice blocks inside your work boots by lunchtime. I've learned a lot of hacks that'll help keep you warm in my past 20 plus years in construction, and I'm gonna share those with you here, but from the outset, I just kinda wanna make something clear. I'm gonna make some recommendations for products, but these products are by no means the only things that perform the way that they do. So if you have something at home, if you could find something used, or if you could find something on sale or whatever, it's more important that they have the properties versus what I'm specifically recommending. Now, the great thing is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. The military has already figured this out, and they have something called the US Army Cold Weather Clothing System or something like that. They're on generation 3 of it, and you can look it up. I'll include some screenshots here. We could just use that and apply it to construction and take some special considerations for the things that we do versus the military. Let's begin with the most overlooked and underutilized layer that there is, and that's your base layer. I don't see many people out there actually using a proper base layer on the job. This is the thing that really is gonna make the difference. The whole purpose of a base layer is to keep moisture away from your skin. So what you want is a material that will wick moisture away, keep you dry, because moisture and cold is the enemy. My recommendation is to either go with a technical synthetic base layer or a merino wool base layer. Sometimes people used to use silk as well, but it's very expensive, and I just don't think it really works well for construction. So those are the two that you're gonna wanna look at. They both have their pros and cons. I found that wool, it's, you know, number one, it's the natural fabric, so if you like having natural fabrics against your skin directly, this is the one to go with. It also seems to have less issue with odor. It seems to last a little bit longer, but it also, you know, I mean, some of these technical synthetics are really kind of pulling ahead as well. They're doing amazing things now with them. They're less expensive than wool. You do have to wash them, and sometimes there are little tricks that you can do to sort of get the funk out.
All right, I have some base layers around here somewhere. You might think that with all the stuff that I do, I'd be really organized. You'd be wrong. This one's from Work, and I like it because it's long sleeve. Plus, this is really slick, so when you put something over it, it just slides right on. This one's also good. It's a short sleeve, so it's a little bit different, but you know, as a base layer, they're really good, and they both have the same type of you know, properties. They feel like, you can see, they're just very light. Actually, I just found another one. This one's from Helly Hansen Workwear, and this is a little bit heavier. I've worn this before. It's really good. It's also like a zip mock neck. So, you know, as far as a base layer goes, sometimes if you have too many collars going on, they can interfere with each other. But on really cold days, this has a little bit more loft to it.
Now, the fit of your base layer is really important. You don't want it too billowy. You also don't want it to be super duper tight and constrictive. So it has to be tight enough to wick moisture, but, you know, not so tight that it's cutting off your circulation. Now, if you're looking online and you wanna know which weight is best for you, a general rule of thumb is 100 GSM is considered lightweight, 200 GSM would be midweight, and 300 would be heavyweight. There are also some options out there which use all three. So they'll use something that's almost fleece-like near the top maybe of your pants, but then maybe someplace like underarms would be very, very thin. So it's trying to almost compartmentalize warmth. Here's just a quick note for my FR people out there. Sometimes we have to wear FR base layers. So just be aware of the job you're doing, the safety requirements and stuff like that. The last thing you wanna be doing is wearing something synthetic that's gonna melt against you in the case of an arc flash or heat or spark. So just check your FR, you know, needs. Now, most great companies have base layers, and if you're looking in the workwear space, you could find those, but it also really helps for most of these to take a look in like outdoor brands and REI or EMS, places like that. That's where you're gonna find a lot more of this kind of thing. However, Smart Wool offers a great wool base layer. Work has a base layer. Icebreaker is another one that I like that has a base layer. I've had really good luck with those. Carhartt has some, Snickers has some, and Duluth Trading also has a base layer. Skimp or spend, I would say that your base layer is a place to spend, but you don't have to spend too much, okay? You can go with a synthetic versus a merino wool, even if you just wanna try it out, and you don't have to spend a whole lot, but you're not necessarily gonna wanna really skimp on this, but it's not gonna break the bank either, so it pays to just go new. All right, layer 2. The whole purpose of layer 2 is insulating. So a lot of people call this your insulating layer. What this is supposed to do is trap warm air against your body. One of the warmest mid layers that I have is a synthetic down vest that I'll wear beneath my jacket. This is also a place that you can save some money.
All right, if you're like me, you could probably throw a stone and find some insulating layers somewhere, but I'm gonna show you a couple of my favorites because they're never very far. All right, this one's from Patagonia Workwear. It's a little bit on the expensive side, and you don't have to go with, you know, an expensive vest, obviously, but a puffer vest does a great job of trapping air. Here's another one that I got a while ago at like an outdoor kind of supply shop, and same thing, it just traps a lot of warm air in there. I mean, like a surprising amount of warm air. The cool thing about this one and ones like it is that they'll pack down into a little, this one packs into its own pocket, so you can keep this around if you want to swap out to a warmer mid layer. Hang on, I got a couple more right over here. Now, I usually really wouldn't recommend Filson, especially now, but if you could find some vintage Filson, it could be really good. And this doesn't have a whole lot of space for warm air to get trapped, but it actually is pretty effective as a mid layer. And then we have fleece. This is an old jacket. I've had this thing forever. It was called the Mountain Hardwear Monkey Man. I think you could still probably find it on the secondhand market, but what I liked about it is very high pile fleece. A lot of space for warm air to get trapped in there.
Now, Loft really matters more than the logo in this case, but if you want to go ahead and buy a new mid layer, plenty of brands have them. Carhartt has a ton of them, especially their fleece pullovers. TrueWork has a great mid layer called the Whoopie Hoodie. Dickies has them, Wrangler Riggs has them, Ariat Rebar have them, Patagonia Workwear. You could find great mid layers almost anywhere you turn. All right, your shell layer. The whole purpose of this layer is to protect you from the outside elements. For our purposes in construction, most of the time what you'll see is a lot of duck canvas, you'll see some synthetics out there, and you know, people will wear sort of what they have on hand, but being a little bit more intentional about it is gonna help keep you warmer. So let me explain what I mean. Cotton duck is tough, but it's really not great against the wind or wet conditions.
This is what I'm talking about when I talk about cotton duck. This is great when you're inside. It's very, you know, it's nice and it works very well in that case, but if you're gonna be out in the elements, you're gonna want something with a little bit more resistance to the weather. Now, duck canvas also comes in synthetic, like this one from Duluth, and this is, you know, just the same type of weave, duck, right? Plain weave, but it's a synthetic material. So this will shed off water, snow, stuff like that a lot easier.
If you're looking for a bomb-proof shell layer, look for something with Cordura. Now, a lot of workwear companies have this now. It's always more expensive because, you know, it's a more expensive material, but this stuff really does, I mean, it's pretty incredible.
When I talk about bomb-proof, this is what I mean. This is the Yukon Extremes from Carhartt. I just got this, and a buddy of mine had one of these a while ago, and it just never broke in. It was just like this the whole time. The only issue with these is not only that they don't break in or get any softer, is this. They make a lot of noise.
This is the layer, though, that I would say buy the best you can afford. Now, we were able to save a little bit of money, maybe on the base layer, on the mid layer for sure, but if there's a place that's gonna make a difference, it's this shell layer.
Shell layers. Now, I have more of these around than any other type, and I'm gonna show you some of my favorites. This here is my old trusty go-to leatherette patch Carhartt. I mean, this thing, this was one of my favorite jackets, and I think what I liked about it most was that it had some insulation here with this Sherpa lining, but really it relied on you to layer beneath it, so it wasn't too warm on its own right, so if you wanted to just strip down to this thing over a t-shirt, you could when it gets a little bit warmer. Finally, if you're a traditionalist and you like to kind of mix heritage with your outerwear, something like this can work really well. This is from Heat Straps. This is called the Chief Coat, and it is really, really heavy. This is like 24-ounce waxed canvas. It is serious. I like it, but it's not the easiest wearing thing in the world. This is kind of like your Pacific Northwest boot jacket.
Now consider also that bibs are a shell layer, so if you're gonna buy bibs or if you wear them at work, this is also the place to spend. And I know that can get really expensive, but when you buy a good set of a shell layer, then usually you'll have it for quite a while. Any of those brands that you particularly like will probably have a good shell layer. All right, so you've got that whole system in place, but let's face the facts. It's the extremities that really decide your day. Your body can be warm, but if your feet are cold, your hands are cold, your head is cold, your ears, something like that, you're gonna be miserable. I've been that guy, believe me, I know. Now in this case, there are solutions, but we have an additional little factor that we have to get over in construction or whatever, blue collar work, that most people don't. And that's interfacing with safety. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. I did a video the other day about safety and how safety culture is kind of ruining construction. And I gave the example of some overreaching safety guys who have told me that I can't wear a hat or anything beneath my hard hat at all because it interferes with the rating. And now they do have things like hard hat liners, which are specifically designed to work with a hard hat. Those work. Usually they're not the most high quality thing, but they're definitely better than nothing. But if you can get away with a hat beneath your hard hat, if you have to wear one, it helps a lot. Those of us with not a whole lot going on up top here, brain or hair, we need all the help we can get.
All right, so then there's your face, right? And my beautiful face needs protecting. I'm sure yours does too. It's hard to find some of this stuff because a lot of times I keep it in the back of my car in like a little box. I have a tote back there that has almost everything I'll need. But I think I have a couple of them around here. Now this isn't the fanciest thing, but it is FR rated, and this is basically something you put around your neck and then bring it up around your face if your face gets cold. And it works really, really well. I think it's from Dragonwear, so I can't remember where I got it, but this works really well, and it's nice because it's small enough to keep in your pocket if you don't want it, or just stow it away when you're done with it. But this is the one I would wear when things got really cold. I think this was from Duluth Trading Company, if I remember correctly. I think that's their Alaska Hard Gear series. And you can see it goes over your head, and then they have this section that goes up over your mouth. Again, this will sort of ice up over time, but if you can get away with having something beneath your hard hat.
All right, now hands. This is a really tricky one because on our jobs at least, we have to wear cut resistant level 3 gloves.
So those cut resistant gloves, yeah, this is what I'm talking about right here. These things, they're kind of a pain in the neck. You know, chances are that you have to wear something like this too. They have a rubberized palm and, you know, a cut resistance level that, you know, goes with what you're doing for the day. And they're okay, but these can get really cold really quick, and I have not found any that are actually warm with the cut resistance level.
Just swap them out, and having a dry pair makes a difference. Beyond that, there's not much you could do other than taking short breaks, trying to warm your hands up or whatever. We have to wear those gloves, and there's no way around it. If that's not your case, and if it's not, I'm glad because it's a lot easier. Well, there's a lot of great options out there.
Okay, so these are the wool liners for the leather gloves. These work really well, especially inside of mittens where you can keep your fingers together. These, I believe, were military surplus. They're wool, but they're not very soft.
But my favorite leather gloves are the Vermont Glove Vermonter. Those things are amazing. Sullivan Glove also make a great one. Churchill gloves as well. Klein makes a good set of kind of mechanics type of gloves. Refrigerwear has some wild looking gloves if you could just get away with anything. I mean, they have these mitten ones. They have ones that look like lobster claws. It's pretty wild. And then Mechanics, of course. Mechanics wear was one of the ones that I remember from back in the day. All right, your feet. Now this is a tough one, and this is the spot that I always got in trouble with. My feet were always like ice cubes. Here's the thing. Again, moisture's your enemy. If you're wearing cotton socks, usually you're just gonna be cold because of everything that I described earlier about cotton. Wool's the way to go. Now, when it comes to brand, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you know, you could just, as long as it's a decent wool sock, then you're gonna be okay. My personal favorite is Darn Tough Vermont. I still have, I think, the first pair that I bought from them. Their lifetime guarantee is enough for most people to want to wear them. However, a lot of different competitors have started to pop up recently, so if maybe for some reason you don't like Darn Tough Vermont or you just want an alternative, you could find those. Fox River has some awesome socks. Wigwam is another one that I've heard really good things about. The budget pick here is Kirkland Signature. Their socks are really good for the price that you pay. Farm to Feet is another one that people seem to really like. And then Point Six. Point Six was a brand that was brought to my attention when I went to visit the folks up at Limmer Boots in New Hampshire. In my opinion though, the Darn Tough Vermont Steely work socks are the best work socks that you can get. Now socks help, they really do. But there's one other thing that I started to do that really made a difference, and that was swapping out my socks at lunchtime or just midway through your shift. Because no matter what, your feet have more sweat glands than like any other part of your body. Your feet are gonna sweat even in the coldest conditions. This made a huge difference. There are a couple other things that you can do. I know that people will put boot powder, you know, like dry powder into their boot. Sometimes they'll even put it inside their sock just a little bit, again, just to maintain that dry condition. The other thing that you're gonna wanna do, and this is a really important one, is make sure that you air out your boots, dry them out. Best case scenario, you can use a boot dryer. I know they're, you know, $100 or something like that, and if you're not willing to spend that money, I get it. If you can rotate pairs, so, you know, wear one pair one day, leave them out, let them air out and dry while you wear another pair the next day. This helps you not only get rid of the moisture, but it also makes it so you don't get any weird crap growing in there, right? Fungus, mildew, that kind of stuff. It's a breeding ground, the inside of your boot, for that kind of thing. And if you're gonna slide your foot into a wet boot to start the day, you're gonna have a bad day. You're seeing a lot more heated gear out there, and I actually have tried this a little bit, and it's okay. I mean, it's not, heated gear doesn't do the thing like I thought it was gonna do. I thought that, you know, you'd put on this vest or you'd put on this jacket and then you'd turn the button on and it would be like you're sitting next to a roaring fire. That's not the case. And I think in its best case use, what you can really do is wear a heated vest as a mid layer, because not only are you trapping your own warmth inside of that mid layer, but this thing is also supplying you with supplemental warmth. All right, so I came out here to the garage to show you these because I love these damn things. So they're ultra simple. They just have a battery that goes in here. You can kind of see the battery, a little charger that comes with it. And then you turn on your heat here. There's 3 different levels. Usually 1 is just fine. 3 is crazy. But I'll use these anytime I'm shoveling snow or whatever. When it gets really, really cold out, they're awesome. All right, final word about boots, and then we're gonna wrap this up. People are probably gonna ask, what about insulated boots? Regular kind of work boots, lightweight style work boots. My wife's Sorels, but when things get really, really cold, I break out these right here. These are from Baffin. I don't know if they still make these. This is the Apex Extreme. These things are like bringing a bazooka to a gunfight. They are incredibly warm. Really big, hard to operate anything with your feet. I mean, just look at this. Look at the size difference between those and these. It's same size, you know, but the insulation here is just insane. So, yeah, when I have to break out the big guns, I'll wear these, but not often. Sometimes I think wearing your insulated boots on the coldest of days is the move, and then your normal boots when it's not all that cold, that's the way to go. Because again, the worst thing that can happen is that your feet are overheating and sweating. That's just gonna be a nightmare. So insulated boots I think can work really well as long as they're used as a tool in the right job. All right, that's a lot of information, but I really hope it's helpful because staying warm out there is not only safe, but it makes you a lot more comfortable and effective at your job. When I'm cold, my first thought is about how to get warm, not necessarily about doing the thing that's in front of me. I'm being totally honest here. I mean, it's like, it's dangerous. So staying warm at work has multiple benefits. Mostly, though, I just want you to be comfortable and safe and happy in the job that you're doing. And no matter what that is, I mean, again, my background's construction. I hope that this video has helped. And I hope that you will also throw your tip in the comment section below because that's where a lot of the knowledge is. I always say this, but not one of us is smarter than all of us. In the comment section is where I learn a lot of stuff as well. So I suggest that if you're watching this video, scroll down there and take a look as well because you're gonna find people who do different things in different regions and all that kind of stuff that might be applicable to what you're doing. And so there's a lot of knowledge to be found down there. I always suggest you go and check out the comments and leave one of your own. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm tired of talking. I'll catch you next time.